Good morning. The Renton Police Department says all three were found starved to death. I spoke to the stepdad and also the mother of the two girls. They say they want more information on exactly how this happened.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for two girls to be sitting next to each other and both of them die.
It's been nearly 7 months of pain for Ron Anderson and Betsy Alvarado.
It just doesn't make sense to me. By the way that they died.
Last December, their two daughters, 17-year-old Adriana and 16-year-old Mariel, were found dead along with their biological father, Manuel Gill, inside this duplex in Renton. The girls were living with Gill, and all three bodies were found by the landlord who went to check on the unit. Now, Renton police say all three were starved to death and that Manuel took his own life.
Because the father, in this case, had died considerably after the two girls did.
But as for Adriana and Mariel, Renton police say the medical examiner can't determine the manner of their death, something that Alvarado says she just can't accept.
That whole ordeal has been horrible because it, undetermined it doesn't do anything for this.
The couple feels the sisters weren't eating based on what they're calling extreme religious beliefs of their father when it came to fasting.
They were scared to burn in hell because of everything that their father told them. So they felt that they needed to do this.
We asked the Renton Police Department if there was a connection to them starving and Manuel Gill's religious views.
There were a lot of references to scripture and to religion there, and I know that there were some just handwritten mention of that.
After waiting for nearly 7 months, Anderson and Alvarado worry they'll never get the answers they've been waiting for. Now, Alvarado says the hardest thing about all of this is not being able to have big events with her daughters. For example, Adriana was supposed to graduate high school this month. In Seattle, Hyder, KOMO News. Yeah, Mayor, when people I spoke with in that community say fires is just one of many issues that they're concerned about. They're talking about things like drug use and also gun violence. They also feel more needs to be done when it comes to housing and getting people the treatment resources they need. Flames erupt from this encampment in the Chinatown International District on Thursday, making it the second one in a week the community has seen. SPD officers found nearly 300 grams of drugs like fentanyl, crack cocaine, and meth, along with 2 revolvers and about $7,000 in cash. Seattle police believe the fire could have been caused by a meth lab.
Every hour or every other hours, people in and out. They are very busy, and sometimes we heard the gunshot at the midnight.
Beth Koo lives in a senior living center across from it.
We would like to get rid of the encampment in our community because so dangerous for everyone.
Area residents say fires like this one that happened last week at another encampment nearby are an ongoing issue. Eric Chan's family has owned Jade Garden Restaurant for 2 decades.
If the city leaders come to our business owners nearby and we can work together, I think something can get done with this whole ordeal.
And fires are just one of many concerns for this community.
The amounts of violent crime in this area specifically are happening unfortunately near and around these encampments.
Now, we also did reach out to City Council and also the Mayor's office to see if there's a plan for these encampments. We did not receive a response. We also did ask SPD if there's plans to put additional patrol in the area. That is not the plan right now. However, they do still have a mobile precinct nearby on 12th and Jackson. We're live from Seattle tonight. Hyder, KOMO News. Captain Gordon Wolcott and Seattle firefighter Rachel Ellers wear their same uniform, but have a different last name stitched on it. Captain Wolcott has been with the Seattle Fire Department for more than 3 decades, working his way up the ranks.
It gets in your blood, and then it's just what you do, and it's who you are.
But his latest accomplishment is what he's proud of the most.
It's been very gratifying to do, especially now that my daughter's in.
They're the first ever father-daughter duo in the Seattle Fire Department.
I feel grateful that I am here with my dad. I don't think very many people get to work with their dad.
In college, Rachel worked as a lifeguard in Seattle and eventually became a volunteer firefighter in Vashon. After making a switch to a job in the department's admin office, she realized her true passion was to wear the same uniform as her dad, who she calls her inspiration.
I actually had a moment in the office where I was like, man, I could do what these guys are doing. I'd rather be on that side.
Last year, she took the first step in the journey by starting drill school and training for Seattle.
It is the most physically and mentally demanding thing that I've ever done. I know that there have been like Navy SEALs that have gone through it that were like, this is bonkers.
And this past March, the two shared a special moment as Captain Wolcott had the honor of pinning the badge on his daughter during a ceremony, officially making her a Seattle firefighter.
Wanted to cry. I was happy at the same time. It was really unreal. It was unreal to me.
Even while on the job, their relationship hasn't changed.
Welcome to the next 25 years.
There was a mix of like just relief, like we did it, we made it here.
I'll never be her superior.
No, he'll never. Yeah,
no, I'll never be captain to her.
Despite what it says on the fronts of their uniforms.
You know, even though our last names aren't the same, like I'm still a Wolcott. Like I'll always be a Wolcott.
Mo Hyder, KOMO News.
New at 5, it was a life-changing call. After years of desperately waiting, a man from Alaska found out he was getting a heart transplant.
But when he got to the airport, his flight to Seattle was canceled because of our recent ice storm, and the donor heart was given to someone else. KOMO's Mo Hyder explains what happened next.
I could go into a fatal cardiac situation at any time.
Patrick Holland is 56 years old and has battled congestive heart failure since he was 29.
It fights with me. I want to keep going, but then you can just feel this boom, boom, boom.
Earlier this month, he finally got the call that was about to save his life. A perfect match for a heart transplant at UW Medical Center.
I'll be able to run around the park and chase the kids. My 3-year-old, my 11-year-old. I mean, I got kids here that just love to be chased.
But things took a turn when he got to the airport in his hometown of Fairbanks. His flight to Seattle was canceled after an ice storm slammed the area. He tried another flight, but it was diverted to Anchorage, leaving Holland wondering if that perfect match would still be there.
My heart sank, and it was devastating to hear that.
After trying multiple times, flights kept getting canceled. He called a transplant coordinator.
And then they said someone else was going to get it, and I understood. I understood it's going to be somebody's Christmas miracle.
Now Holland is still at home and back on the waiting list for another match. He's leaning on his strong faith and the love from his family to help him get through this battle.
Every time my wife walks in the room, that keeps me motivated.
Despite the obstacle, Holland is hopeful he'll get that call for a second chance.
I'll get that heart and I'll get 30 years out of it. You know, I'll get 20 years out of it. I'll get to see my rest of my young children graduate.
Mo Hyder reporting for us there. You really feel for him, don't you? Now Patrick says he is working to make sure he will be in Seattle when he gets that next call. People have already reached out to help him with a place to stay.